Welcome, welcome to our compliments open house. We are so happy you're here with us today to learn about our compliment classes for the 2023-24 program year. So let's get started. Like we start all of our classes, we want to invite you to join us in saying a verse. You can stay on mute and just listen to me say it, but please definitely say it where you are. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow in me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of humankind, a servant of sacred things, selfless and true. Okay, well, today we have our wonderful compliments teachers here. So these are our teachers, some of them who do also teach our main lessons, but they also teach our specialty classes that complement our main lessons. So they are the star of the show today. And Heather and I are just going to give you a very brief background, some very brief background information, and then turn it over to each of our teachers so that they can introduce themselves and tell you very briefly what they'll be teaching next year. We do have some new classes that we're adding next year, and we're bringing back all of our favorites. So we're excited to share that with you. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions. So if you have questions, and you don't want to forget it, you're welcome to put it in the chat. But we will have a special time for that at the end too. So I'll go ahead and start, and then I'll turn it over to Heather. Again, my name is Sarah Barrett, and I'm one of the founders here at Lotus and Ivy. My background is in Waldorf homeschooling, and I also taught recently at a brick and mortar Waldorf school. So have been living just the Waldorf education world for 10 or so years now, and Heather and I have been providing in-person Waldorf homeschool enrichment since 2015. But this will be our third year with Lotus and Ivy. So back in 2021, we decided that we wanted to bring what we were doing in person with our pods to a greater community of homeschoolers. And really our intention was what led us to starting our program initially, is that we lived in an area where there was no Waldorf school. So we are just so happy to be able to bring Waldorf education into so many cities in the United States and in other countries that don't have access to a Waldorf school. So everything that we do is based in the Waldorf curriculum. Our classes are 100% live. It's very, very important to us that the students have a chance to get to know their teacher and get to know their classmates. So we also keep our classes small so that there's that quick connection in each class. Now, that said, we do record our classes for if students go on vacation or are ill and can't attend, but those videos are only available for a very short time, 1 or 2 weeks. So we want everybody to just stay in the live community. Our teachers are, we lost count. We need to redo a count, but our teachers have over 500 years of combined Waldorf teaching experience. So if you want to read more about our teachers, please go to our website. We have been adding some videos the last few days, so you can not only read about our teachers, but watch some videos where they introduce themselves and talk to you about what they're going to be teaching. So please definitely take the time, because we think that we have the best teachers in the world. So, and then lastly, we offer a complete curriculum for K through 8, so kindergarten through 8th grade, and then an academic core for 9th and 10th grade. 10th grade is new for 2023-24. We have been adding 1 grade a year, and we'll continue to do that for our oldest class. Okay, let me turn it over to Heather now.
As Sarah said before, we have been working together since 2015. My background is in elementary and reading education, as well as gifted and art education. I really love working with students and now working with parents and our wonderful teachers every day is just the joy of my life. Um, we have such wonderful classes, and this curriculum is so rich and beautiful, which brings me to our program overview here. So we have our main lesson classes, which we offer for each grade level, kindergarten through 10th grade. And as Sarah said, we will continue to grow with that highest class into 11th grade, even the following year, and 12th the next. We have math and language arts skills practice classes for classes 1 through 4, and then we also offer separate math and language arts classes for our students who are in classes 5 through 10. We offer our complements classes, which is why we are all here today. So we're not going to spend too much time with our overview, but you're going to get to meet each one of our teachers that teaches our complements classes today and get to learn more about that. We also offer in-person pods. We are opening more pods every year. Currently, we have a pod in Sacramento, California. For more information on any of this, please reach out to us. Look at our website, lotusandivy.com, or send us an email at lotusandivyvirtualclasses@gmail.com. This is a very quick overview of what you're about to be introduced to. So if you want to take a quick snapshot, this might be an important slide for you later. We do have all of this information on our website and with the actual times and days of offerings. But if there's something here you're really interested in, you want to learn more, you can reach back out to us.
All right, let's go ahead and start meeting our teachers.
Yes, so without further ado, we would like to firstly introduce Miss Karen Smith.
Hello there. It's nice to see you all today. I'm Karen Smith, and I am Lotus and Ivy's hand sewing teacher and woodworking complement teacher for grades kindergarten and 1 and 2, and I live in Decatur, Georgia. I received my Waldorf early childhood teacher training from Sunbridge College, and I taught mixed age kindergarten classes at a brick and mortar Waldorf school for 17 years. And I joined Lotus and Ivy as their kindergarten teacher in 2021. So I'm delighted to spend the time I have outside my main lesson classes with students who are eager to use their hands and create wonderful handcrafted treasures. Throughout my years as a Waldorf teacher, I've included hand sewing and woodworking projects as part of my kindergarten classes. Especially in this immediate gratification world that we live in, patience and focus and willpower, also known as grit, are harder to instill in our children. And these qualities are developed with hands-on learning projects that take days or even weeks to complete. And this allows your child time to practice, to improve their techniques, to learn to use the materials and the tools correctly. But because our time in the main lesson classes are so brief, hand sewing and woodworking complements extend your child's opportunity to practice their emerging hand skills. Teaching students to make useful, beautiful things with their hands is a fundamental element throughout the entire Waldorf curriculum, from kindergarten all the way up through the grades. And through practical and meaningful hand skills, children develop strength and coordination in their hands and fingers. In addition to improving their fine motor skills, foundationally, it prepares students for writing and drawing and the artistic work that they will experience when they're in the grades. I'd like to read a quote from Matty Bergström. He's a Swedish neurophysiologist, and he describes the vital importance of doing work with the hands. So he says, the density of the nerve endings in our fingers is enormous. Their discrimination is almost as good as our eyes. But if we don't use our fingers in childhood and in youth, we will become finger blind. And the rich network of nerves that we have in our hands will be impoverished. And that results in a huge loss to the brain, and it thwarts the individual's overall development. So learning to skillfully use their hands not only develops a child's sense of self-reliance and self-confidence, but it also awakens within them creative powers, and it promotes a sense of reverence for craftsmanship, and it instills a respect for makers all around the world and the items that they create. There's a well-known woodworking teacher whose name is Peter Morehouse. He's written several books, and he explains woodwork is not just about what the children make. It is all about the changes within the child. Woodworking has a significant impact on a child's self-esteem and confidence, and it develops a sense of agency, that can-do mindset. And I've utterly seen that in my woodworking classes. Because my time with you today is pretty short, and I would like to show you some examples of the projects that my students have created or will be creating later on this semester, I'm going to turn on a slideshow so that you can watch those images, and I'll share a little bit more about our program. So let me real quick share my screen. Okay. For classes in 1 and 2, class 1 and 2 students in the fall, woodworking will be happening on Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And in the spring, I'll teach hand sewing for grades 1 and 2 at that same time. And these classes are once a week for the entire semester. Also in the spring semester, capable 5- and 6-year-old kindergarten students can enroll in my hand sewing session that meets twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays at 3:30 Eastern. And that class lasts for 9 weeks, and once that session is complete, in April, we will have woodworking twice a week for 9 weeks. The foundational hand skills that the students will learn build from one project to the next for all of my complement classes. A child's willpower and fortitude to learn new techniques while sometimes working through unexpected challenges along the way will increase. And by the end of the session, your child will be able to approach future projects of their own creation with capable confidence, enthusiasm, and improved craftsmanship. Now, you might wonder, how can you possibly teach hand sewing and woodworking through a computer? And I admit, I was pretty worried about that too when I first taught my first class in 2021, but I have been utterly impressed with the quality of my students' online projects, and their parents have shared with me how positive and impactful these complement classes have been for their child as well. Because my classes are small, with 14 students or less, I can offer individual assistance as needed during class, and especially when photos are sent to me by parents as projects are in process, I can offer additional one-on-one support and advice to parents through electronic messaging. My complement classes rely on the adult to be my long-distance hands. I can't put hands on your child's project, so you have to help me. So plan to be accessible with your child at every class for assistance and safety reasons too, especially for woodworking, because we are working with real hand tools, no power tools, but real hand tools like a pull saw, a rasp, and hand drills. And all of these must be handled responsibly and with focus and concentration. I should also mention that the cost of supplies for the tools that are needed for my classes may be more expensive than the cost of the complement tuition itself. But the purchase of real tools that can be used by your child for many years to come may even become the foundation for a lifelong hobby or a trade. That said, I believe in working with what you have available. And so when you get your supply list for my class, let me stop the sharing. When you get the supply list for my class, I invite you to look around your home and see if you have items that you could use instead. I'm all about using what you have on hand and only purchasing when necessary. And I'm very flexible about substitutions. So just reach out to me about that as well. I thank you for your time to spend with me today, and all of my colleagues as well who have equally wonderful classes that they are teaching. And I look forward to having one of your children in my complement classes in the future. And I am utterly confident that your buttons will pop when you see some of the wonderful creations that your children make from simple, humble materials. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to hear from Ms. Myers.
Hi, my name is Sarah Myers, and I've been Waldorf teaching in some form or another since 2003, most of them as a class teacher in brick and mortar. 1 year during COVID as a homeschool teacher, and then last year and this year with Lotus and Ivy. This year I teach grade 6 mainly. Next year I will also be teaching grade 6 main lesson as my main work. But I will also be getting to continue with some of my grade 6 students as the grade 7 drawing and painting teacher. And as Karen mentioned, just that, you know, creativity and working with your hands is so important at all these ages. And one of the things with the middle schooler is sometimes they have trouble finding a place between black and white. And that's really in the 6th grade. And, you know, they have trouble finding the gray or the different spaces. It's either right or left or one or the other. And with the drawing and painting, we can help bring them into a place of balance. And so with my grade 7 class, I will start with some charcoal drawings that have to do with color or the balance between the two, finding the values in between. And then because the grade 7 student can become a little more refined in that, we'll go on to some still lives in charcoal, some different things. Some of these were ideas chosen by the students of what they wanted to try to draw. And we may also, after their perspective drawing block, expand on what they learn in their main lesson block of perspective drawing and do a little bit of perspective drawing in our class. But we will also do some painting. We will introduce veil painting, where it's kind of hard to see on the screen, where we're layering really light versions of each color on top to make different layers of that watercolor paint. Maybe this one will show up a little bit better. And this takes several sessions to do a veil painting, and it takes a lot of patience, which can be really difficult for the 7th grader to find. But we work it and we do it and we make it happen. And then once they've done the veil painting, we'll switch to some wet on dry watercolor painting. And when I taught grade 7 and 8 painting this year, for this section, I asked the children what they wanted to learn how to paint. They wanted to learn how to paint a beach, and they wanted to learn how to paint a farm landscape. And you can see I dropped some water on mine there. And then they wanted to learn how to paint a mountain landscape. So I will try to tailor some of the work to their interests and desires of where they want to go with artwork. But that's just a kind of a sampling and array of some of the things we'll be working on in the 7th grade drawing and painting. And thank you so much for your time and for being here with us.
Thank you. And here's Ms. Roselli.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Compliments Open House. It's good to see all of you. My name is Corinna Roselli Pennypacker. I am a current 2nd grade main lesson teacher, but next year I will be teaching creative speech and drama and speech for our grades 1 through 8. And I am so excited to share this wonderful work with your students. I have been a lifelong theater kid, a theater grown-up as well, now as an adult, and I am so excited to share this with you. It's a fun fact that you guys might not know that Rudolf Steiner mentions speech the most out of any other content area in every pedagogical book that he penned. So speech plays a very big importance in Waldorf education. We use it every day in our morning circles. Can you just imagine how much that your child speaks at home with you, speaking fluently with such emotion and prosody and flow is a really important skill to have. And in our creative speech classes and in drama for our older students, we'll be focusing on just that. In first and second grade, we'll primarily be focusing on collaborative storytelling. So we'll move through a different story each week with different poems and tongue twisters and different elements that we get to act out together to really build an ensemble within our class. And we'll take those foundational skills that we learn and move them up into the grades with us. So when we come to third grade, we'll be focusing on delivering monologues with character, and that will take us up to scene work in later grades too, and writing our own monologues to perform as well. So we'll really get to have a nice journey of where speech is foundationally within our curriculum in Waldorf schools, and also where it can take us into the middle grades as well. It's going to be such a wonderful time of playing, laughing, and exploring how we can use language to tell stories. Just to give you all a little bit of insight into my background with Waldorf education, I recently completed my Waldorf teacher training after 12 years of being a teacher in public and private schools. And I found Waldorf education almost on accident. I stumbled across a kindergarten circle and just fell in love with the beauty of using drama inside of the curriculum. And that spurred me getting my Waldorf teaching license and now my doctorate in Waldorf education, where I'll be looking at arts integrated curriculum. And that is just a little bit of my background. I hope to see you all in drama. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see your faces light up and your child's light up as we move through different stories each week. Let us know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you all there.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roselli. We really appreciate that. Next, we have Ms. Straubel.
Great. Yeah, what a joy it is to see all of you here and share this space together. I'm currently zooming in from Oaxaca, Mexico, and I really feel so grateful that throughout the year I can bring in different cultural elements as I travel between the Middle East, Latin America, and the United States. For some of our grades right now, we just started, and I'll hopefully switch my screen over just for a moment. Here we are. We've been talking a little bit about some textile designs, and next year I'm really looking forward to jumping into backstrap weaving and more indigenous textiles for our classes for the grade 7 and 8 textile design course, where we'll be doing different clothing design and working with mending and repairing our clothes, working on sustainability in textiles, and exploring some of those skill building crafts that we can make. I'll also be teaching our Spanish classes for the accelerated courses. We just started our recipe books this week, using some of that influence of the textiles. I can zoom it in a little bit here, and just talking about those different traditions we can find throughout Latin America, the different foods and cuisines. Let me switch my camera back so you can all see my face once more. And it's just such an exciting time to see how the students are working on the recipes and building that confidence at home throughout the week, with trying these new recipes of atole, of chile relleno, of some of these really tasty things from this region of Mexico. A little bit about myself as well. I'm in my 7th year of teaching. Next year will be my 8th, and I have a background in Waldorf education. I trained in Stuttgart, Germany, and so I really enjoy bringing kind of a cultural element to my classes of decolonized and culturally respectful and mindful pedagogy. So it is my second year here at Lotus and Ivy. I look forward to my third. I studied and trained for textile design and Waldorf education in my master's with a background in sociology and anthropology. Throughout the years, I mentioned I'm often traveling, and I really enjoy incorporating those countries into our lessons wherever we can. And I think with the textile design class especially, we'll have a lot of fun with the regional patterns that we can find throughout Indigenous groups around the world. So next year, we do have a really exciting offering. We'll be doing our accelerated Spanish classes. I'm so excited for this. So many of our students have just been chomping at the bit for more, and this will be an option for those students. It'll be broken down by grade. So first graders will be together, second graders, and all the way through. And it'll be a time where we can have twice-a-week lessons. So we'll really get to dive into not just songs and verses and crafts together, but really incorporating more depth into the work we're doing, more time to review and to play games together to really build that confidence and work that muscle of our language process. With our textile design, just a few little highlights from that as well. We'll be learning how to mend and repair, as I mentioned. We'll be working with natural dyes, and I'm hoping that if it's a year-long program, we'll be able to have a little dye garden that then we can use. The course will be a strong element of sustainability. That's very close to my heart. And just seeing how we can be not only ecologically sustainable, but also economically. So being really mindful of the cost of materials, using what we have, and really a strong element on finding and being resourceful. So why buy something new if we can buy it from a thrift store or borrow it from a neighbor? So as always, I think there's a lot of joy that comes in sharing, and that'll be a big element of our class as folks are comfortable. We'll be making some toolkits, and we'll be hopefully making a linen shirt from scratch. We'll be hand sewing that throughout the year. That'll be our big project for the year, working with measuring and designing clothes that fit our bodies and celebrate body neutrality as well. So thank you all for your time, for listening. It's so exciting to see you all here and to see some familiar faces and also many new ones. So thank you so much. I look forward to what's ahead.
Thank you so much. And next we have Ms. Lupcek. Am I saying that correct?
So.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Maja Ljubic. I am from Slovenia originally, but right now I live in Maryland. And I am practical arts teacher here at Lotus and Ivy. My background is in art, but from studies of Waldorf, of Waldorf principles, I really tremendously treasure that meeting children in their own place and time of growth. So as a person who is educator and a parent, which I think most of us have in common since you are mostly homeschooling families, I really wish to further on support this growth. Okay, so I teach practical arts from grade 3rd and 10th, so from 3rd and 10th grade. And it's when it comes to working with crafts and arts, I really don't find any difference how exciting students are working with their hands. They would enjoy and even blossom working, and we are at the same time, we're really balancing those inner world that is inspiring and also the skills of our hands. So that's the world of inspiration that gets combined with those skills that we're practicing in particular, medium that we are working on. For me, it is equally rewarding to see students' work come to life, as it is that sacred process of working itself, which is probably even less noticeable as an inner growth and inner progresses of each individual. So there are these two pathways that are going. So mind tells our hands what to do, and also our hands tell our minds what to do. So that is what we're practicing. And I will also quickly share my screen here, just to go. just to go through some. Okay, just a moment. Okay, here we are. To see what we're going to be doing and what we have been doing. This is work of students of fourth and sixth grade. And we have more works like that. This is felting. So first, we're going to be doing felting with third and fourth grade. This is going to be a semester-long period of felting that will really go into technical as much detail as we're going to be possible for their age. Then for fifth and sixth grade, we're going to be working also partially on felting and partially will be reflecting some of botany studies. So we're going to be also using dry plants and flowers in our work. And then the same with felting. For fifth and sixth grade, we are advancing into a bit more challenging structures. And so that is just some work for you to see. And here I have also work that we just started lately with third and fourth graders. It's a bit more simple, but we are advancing there too. Okay, just so, and also for seventh and eighth graders, we are starting with needle felting, and we're also going to be working on papier-mâché modeling, which is the semester dedicated to sculpting entirely. And then for the new thing that we're going to have next year, it's going to be for 9th and 10th graders that will be working with wire arts, really getting those hands busy in more precise work. And then also working on puppetry art, from which we will, by the end, produce a puppet play together. Okay, so that is from me really quickly. I hope to see some of you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Ms. Mansouri.
Hello, my name is Victoria Mansouri, and first and foremost, I am a Waldorf graduate. I went to the Washington Waldorf School in Washington, D.C. 1st through 12th grade, and I became a Waldorf teacher in 1996. I can't believe it's been that long. I taught at a brick and mortar until 2019, at which point I struck out on my own to teach handwork in the community, and then COVID happened. So I started teaching online, and I've been with Lotus and Ivy since its inception last year and this year, and I look forward to continuing into next year. So I will be teaching first and second grade knitting next year, and we will start by making our own knitting needles. The children love making their knitting needles, and it really is a great way to start with a more gross motor activity before we come into the really fine motor activity of learning to cast on and knit. Everything is taught through story, and so every movement has the picture of the story in the children's imagination before they put it into movement and their hands. So they really see the bird that is diving, or the fish that is coming out of the water. And we actually talk in those terms, like, oh, bring your fish up higher, you know, and they can see that, and it's not abstract for them. They live into that picture. Everything that we make in first grade is made out of a square. And one of the things that I like to really remember in the background is that knitting or handwork in general, Karen, I feel like Karen did a lot of my work for me in talking about all of the capacities that are built through handwork in terms of perseverance and problem solving, fine motor skill. And I love that finger blind quote that she used. I've used that quote a lot myself. But one of the things, in addition to the many qualities that Karen mentioned, is flexible thinking. And so the fact that every thing that we make in first grade is made from a square, I like to think is really developing flexible thinking in the children, that they have this one shape that then becomes so many different shapes. So here we have our first project, which is a chicken, so or it can also be a rooster. And both of these, believe it or not, have come from a square. Our next project is then a little bunny, which has no sound to go with it because it's so quiet. But it also, believe it or not, comes from a square. And then we have a treasure pouch. Now we're getting a little more complex. It's really a rectangle. If you can see how it's a longer, this is a square on either side here, fold it down and it's a rectangle. And then we learn how to make the triangle, but we're still just knitting. And then we sew up the side, which, as Karen has told us, many kindergartners learn how to hand sew. This is blanket stitch. And they also know how to finger knit. And they make a nice handle for their treasure pouch to collect treasures in. Now, also from a square, we have a gnome. Can you believe this comes from a square? Here, I'll show you his little body. All right, can you still believe it comes from a square? Trust me, it does. And his hat is now made just like the triangle on the treasure pouch. So we're building on our skills one at a time. So I like to think that these first graders who have made so many different things that come out of a square will someday be working for companies and be told that our resources are low in such and such area. And they'll be like, that's okay. We know how to do many things out of few resources. So we are developing flexible thinking along with our fine motor skills and our problem solving skills and our perseverance and our creativity. So our first grade knitting class is twice a week to really help build a strong foundation. And parents, you get to take the class too. Just like Karen said, I need you to be my hands. Learning to cast on and to knit initially can be a little more difficult and daunting. And it's really great to have a pair of larger hands there with the smaller hands to help. And I can tell you that the parents who have taken my class this year, I think are thrilled to have made all of these projects alongside their children. It's an experience that they'll never have again as their children grow. And they have really treasured it. So moving into second grade, the skills then diversify. We go into things that are not made from squares. You can see here that this lion has legs, and you need to learn how to cast on and cast off within the pattern. So that's a new skill. We'll also learn how to purl, how to read our knitting, just as they're learning how to strengthen their reading skills and language arts. That discernment, that new development in their mind is put to reading their knitting, and they can tell, is this a knit row or a purl row? And know which it is they're supposed to do in order to follow their pattern. The second grade handwork class is once a week because that firm foundation has been built, and they can be more independent throughout the week and do work on their own as they then come back to class a week later. I'm sure there's so many things that I will think, oh, I wish I said that as I listen to my colleagues. And by the way, colleagues, I want to take all of your classes. So I look forward to seeing you and your children in first and second grade knitting next year. Have a wonderful rest of our open house.
Thank you so much. And next up, we have Ms. Guthman.
Hi there. My name is Kaya Guthman. I'm the arts instructor for 5th through 8th grade painting and drawing. In addition to the Lotus and Ivy virtual classes, I also teach main lesson enrichment for 6th and 7th grade and multimedia for all grades in their Sacramento in-person pod. So my experience with Waldorf education has come from my earlier years of education as a Waldorf student. I'm an alumnus from the Summerfield Waldorf School in Santa Rosa, California, where I attended from 1st grade all the way through high school. Both my parents are also Waldorf educators for several years. I received my bachelor's degrees in anthropology and sociology from the University of Victoria in Canada, but have been able to pursue my passions for the arts through teaching. My lessons are structured around the development of each student's unique creative expression. So I work in a variety of media and subject matter, from form drawing studies in graphite to watercolor and ink botanical illustrations. The course aims to strengthen technical, abstract, and imaginative skill while encouraging the artist's sense of originality and innovative style. I would like for all of the students to move forward from my classes with a strong foundation in basic technique and confidence in their artistry. There's a lot more that I could talk about, but I will move on to the next teacher, but I hope to see you all in art. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guthman. We really appreciate that. All right, next up we have Ms. Nevis Sedlick.
Oh, hello, everyone. I would like to invite you to take a moment to take a deep breath with me, and this will tell you probably all you need to know about the two courses or classes that I teach. So if you make sure you're sitting straight in your chair and have your feet flat on Mama Earth, that beautiful hug of gravity that Gaia gives us, and then open the heart with a breath. And then draw inward the sunlight of the world back to your heart on the exhale. If all of us learned how to do this one simple exercise with fluidity, with strength, with the total involvement of all parts of our threefold, fourfold beings, body, mind, spirit, and all that is involved with all of that, if we learned how to do it fluidly and with full awareness and awakeness, we would have the secret of life, the secret of joy, the secret of embodied spirit, which we all are, embodied energy, if you like, all connected to every other form of energy around us and through us. And this is really the essence of learning how to move in a human body with a spirit or an energy essence that is not physical, connected to the energy essence of all other beings that is both physical and not physical in our experience as humans. And so I would say at this point to you that the two classes I will be teaching in September are the healing sound and movement class, as well as the music class, which involves learning a particular instrument, the pentatonic flute, and also the recorder for the older grades, and much, much more. So what I want to do with you for a moment is just to invite you to sit and relax and enjoy a little bit of sound and movement that we call eurythmy. If you haven't been introduced to eurythmy, it is at the core of Waldorf education because it involves.
Oh, Waldorf. Is that what she going to a Waldorf school?
Nope. We have somebody's mic that's unmuted, so we might need to mute a mic. Thank you. And so we are able to experience all of their parts and all aspects of our being through movement with this wonderful body that we have, and through expression of our identity, through sound, through language, through an expression that is nonverbal and has no sound, but shows the sound through the body. So this is a pretty nutshell explanation of eurythmy, but I will sound with you and give you a little bit of a sample of that movement and sounding. I see the sun and the sun sees me. I see the moon and the moon sees me. I see my star and my star sees me. I see you and you see me. movement and in our music classes, quiet is as important as sound making and moving is. And in this way, we find balance in many forms, the balance of the physical body, the balance between emotional, mental, spirit and body experiences, the balance of body systems, heart, liver, all of the organs and what they represent. All of these parts of ourself are resonating at a frequency. And so the frequency we aspire to have is a balanced frequency between all these parts of self, as well as a balance between the outer world, which we started this little moment with, and the inner world. And so all that we do in music and in the healing sound movement classes is focusing on creating a whole human being, a whole, aware, awake, alive human being, intact and in balance. And that's really the core of what we do here. We do it in many ways. We do it through, and in fact, the Healing Sound and Movement course and the music course are really two branches of the same tree, because they both use language, their own languages, the language of music, written music, learning how to read and write and compose and improvise notes of music that are then brought into melody, that are brought in, and also are applied to a particular instrument. But we first start with the voice and the body, because we all have a voice and we all are musical in the fact that we are connected by sound. Everything reverberates through every part of us, and every part of the universe is reverberating in vibration. So we learn how to sing that vibration and how to move it. We in Healing Sound and Movement, we're using many different elements. It is a hybrid class, so it is not straight eurythmy. Eurythmy is one aspect and probably feeds all of the other aspects that we learn. We do brain sensory exercises. We do some yoga. We move in both verse and song. And what you saw here was an example, a bit of the eurythmy, the sound through movement. And other aspects which I draw from to create a hybrid program and to give a lot of variety to how we can develop our all parts of being. And the music program focuses in on some of those elements and then draws in the others, right? Really focusing on how can we go deep with understanding what music elements are, the basic fundamental aspects of music skills, and applying them to a particular instrument. So believe it or not, you can do music online. It's a little different, and we have certain things that are limited, but we can certainly experience the bulk of what music instruction is, and also experience of music is, as well as the healing sound and movement. These two classes are for grades 1 to 5, I believe. The program for Healing Sound and Movement just began this semester. I'm new to Lotus and Ivy. And in my own background, I've been working with anthroposophy and Waldorf trainings over the years for, oh my goodness, 30 years now. I came from the mainstream education system where I taught music and movement before I left, knowing that there had to be a better way to teach children and to help them actually involve and engage in learning in a holistic way. So everything I do is about being holistic and connecting all parts of being. And found Waldorf education and anthroposophy to be really my true home. And I've been using the indications from extra lessons, which would be the remedial teaching part of Waldorf. I've been using the music curriculum and verse curriculum in all ways I could do before I could become part of Lotus and Ivy. I have had my own preschool based in Waldorf education and Waldorf inspired, as well as forest schools, so there's always a huge nature element in all that I do as well. So I come to Lotus and Ivy with a lot of joy and gratitude to be part of what is truly a heart-centered community and an amazing collection of teachers that you will, as Sarah said at the beginning, you will not find easily anywhere else. And so I hope that you will take full advantage of all of the complementary courses and not see them as complementary, but see them as part of the fundamental education of the human being. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Ms. Gimignani.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa Gimignani. I am a teacher here at Lotus and Ivy. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I am just so inspired listening to all these teachers, and I have like a whole list of things I want to say, but I guess I'm really just feeling inspired by this question that I heard in this course that I'm taking through the Michaela Institute, where I'm getting my Waldorf teaching certificate, this question of, what am I doing today as a teacher to contribute to my students' freedom? And for me, like hearing all of you share what you're sharing today and seeing all the classes that we're teaching, and you all as parents getting to choose the venue in which your child is going to get to explore is really what these classes are all about. And so that's kind of my lens as a teacher in all these classes that I'm going to tell you that I'm going to teach next year. So this is my second year with Lotus and Ivy. And so the complements classes that I am currently teaching and will be teaching next year are cyber civics for both 7th and 8th grade. These classes, in a nutshell, this curriculum was written by a Waldorf homeschool teacher, and we use this curriculum, and I also really bounce off and add a lot of artistic rendering in the class as well. The whole class and the whole purpose is creating a healthy relationship with technology, which is a really important thing, especially in this venue where we're learning right now, teaching and learning, which is we're in a Waldorf teaching and learning community, and we're on a computer, which I tell people that I do this, and people are like, how does that work? And cyber civics is really about, how do we show up in this online world where we really could be anonymous, but really show up inside of our values in who we are. And so I really like to take a lot of the curriculum that has been created and turn it into, we do lots of drawings about things that we value, things that, I value, and then that turns into like our class agreements. And we do lots of drawing inside of this class as well. So that's a little bit about cyber civics, and those are developmentally appropriate for 7th and 8th grade. And so if you just go online and Google cybercivics.com, that's where that curriculum lives, and you can dive into it to see if that's something that would be right for your child. I also encourage you, because we do have such a short amount of time today, Heather and Sarah had us record these little clips about each of the classes that we teach. So I would encourage you to go check those out, because we get to dive into them a little bit more. Next year, I'm also teaching watercolor for 1st and 2nd grade, wet on wet watercolor. And I'm also teaching a watercolor class, wet on wet, for 3rd and 4th grade. And in those videos online, I go through all the pictures, a lot of the images that we'll get to paint together. And really my lens through this is the process, and how can we generate a sense of curiosity and experimentation inside of painting, and not an outcome focused, perfection driven thing that we're aiming for. And so really just like an honoring and an in-breath, and just generating curiosity about art and what we can create, and just something is beautiful because it exists. And I always like to say, in our first 1,000 paintings, we're not making a painting, we're making a painter. So those classes are about making painters, really, and artists. And then the last class that I will be teaching, as far as the complements are concerned, is form drawing to cursive for 4th and 5th grade. And again, I would encourage you to go take a look online. These are just some running forms that I have here. We will use stories and movement and sand and plasticine and yarn to work these forms through our body, and then to eventually put them onto paper, and then they will grow into the beautiful art of cursive handwriting. There's so much more I could say, but I'm just so excited that you all are here, and that we've all kind of found each other here in this online Waldorf world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Ms. Murray.
Hello, I'm Riley Murray. You might have seen me at the past 2 open houses if you've been attending. Right now I'm teaching fifth, 6th, and 7th grade math classes and a few blocks. I taught one in December and I have a few upcoming blocks as well for the middle school. And I'm so excited because next year I have classes all over the board, which really brings me a lot of joy to just diversify everything I'm doing. So you may see me in the class 2 main lesson class, or one of the class 2 main lesson classes, the math and language skills practice, grade 5 math 3-day a week, grade 5 2-day a week classes, 6th grade handwork, 2nd grade handwork, and 4th grade math enrichment. Those last 3 classes are what I want to talk about today. So 2nd grade handwork, you've already heard a little bit about earlier, and I'm so excited to bring that joy of handwork to students. So I won't go into that too much since we already heard many of the beautiful things that will happen. 6th grade, I'm excited to bring skills such as really bringing a 2-dimensional pattern to a 3-dimensional pattern as a skill. So we'll be creating some stuffed creations in the 3D, which if you've seen anything like that at a traditional Waldorf school, it's just incredible, where I could say, let's make an elephant, and everyone's pattern is slightly different and it just turns out beautiful. So I'm excited to embark on that journey with the students in 6th grade, as well as other projects and skills, but I wanted to highlight that one. 4th grade math enrichment, it's really about bringing the joy and the wonder and the fun in math. I'm really passionate about keeping confidence up in math at this age that students are in, 4th grade through 8th grade. It feels like a really pivotal moment to make sure the confidence and joy is there. And that's what this class is for, just a little extra practice and support, but really breathing life and joy and wonder into it, and helping ourselves just feel that as well. So I'm so excited. I know there's other teachers who are also talking, but I look forward to seeing you in some of our classes, and it's been so wonderful to see some familiar faces. I see the waves happening. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. And last but not least, we have Ms. Di Pasquale, our German teacher.
Hello, my name is Angelica Di Pasquale. The younger children often call me Miss Frau Di Pasquale because I'm the German teacher and they combine the names. I'm teaching German from grade 1 to 6 next year. With Lotus and Ivy, I'm since the beginning. What I'm doing from the smaller children on is trying to do a long morning circle with them. The younger they are, the longer is the circle of my lesson. And I try to have combine everything with movement. Like, I would like to show you this. You rhythm teacher, please forgive me. When I do, ich bin die Sonne und ich stehe wie ein Turm. And when I do this similar in grade 4, I'm like, stehe ich aufrecht wie ein Turm, stehe ich fest in Wind und Sturm. We can do speech exercises in German, given by Rudolf Steiner, because he gave him in German. And so in grade 4, for example, I saw looking, we can do abracadabra, rabadacabra, kadarabrava. And 3 and 4 graders, they like this a lot. I'm with the younger children from grade 1 and 2, I avoid writing because I wait until they get ready by their class teacher. In grade 3 and 4, we slowly start writing and reading. We read what we know already, like the morning verse when they know it by heart. We sing a lot through the year. With grade 5, everything gets a little bit more serious, but still playful. I will show you how I teach them the preposition. Vor und hinter, über, unter, nebenan. Vor und hinter, über, unter, nebenan. Zwischen, zwischen, in und auf. Zwischen, zwischen, in und auf. Vor und hinter, über, unter, nebenan. As I finished my training in 92 as a class teacher and language teacher in Germany, I was born and raised in Germany. I can introduce also some elements when we do crafting from the curriculum. These are cards we made. I don't know if you see them for Valentine's Day. This was grade 1 and 2, and this was grade 3 and 4. And for St. Martin, we made these lanterns with grade 3 and 4. I'm trying to do short things. This is macrame, handwork teacher. And so I try to make with them, give the language, and have the tree-folded lesson as it was taught by Rudolf Steiner. I hope I did not forget anything, and I think you were very brave sitting here for more than 1 hour listening, and I would like to see your children also in my lesson. Gute Nacht. For me, it's night.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, everyone. We thank everybody for being here. We would like to take some questions, though. If you have a question, you may just shout it out.
Hi there. It's so nice to see everybody and so wonderful to hear from all of the teachers. Sylvie here will be in class 1 next year, and she loves all the teachers. My question, which might sound a little strange, but really I'm very concerned, is how do you make sure that a 6-year-old is kind of safe using, I guess this is mostly for Ms. Smith, maybe a little bit for Ms. Mansouri too, because we're interested in both of your classes, but how do you make sure a 6-year-old is safe, even if I'm present, using tools and pointy objects? Currently, I'm not sure I would feel so comfortable having her use those, but I really want her to take the classes, and she really wants to.
You know, it sounds scary. It really does. I remember when my daughter started in Waldorf kindergarten and she learned to make vegetable soup with a real knife. And that utterly terrified me because she hadn't been exposed to anything like that. But we spend a good bit of time, especially at the beginning of a new skill, explaining how to be safe, how to treat your tool with respect, how to avoid getting hurt. And I'm watching the children. They see my hands with the overhead camera, but I'm watching the children as much as I can. And if I see someone who's holding something incorrectly, that they're in danger, I ask them, please step back, hold your saw with 2 hands. You cannot hold your saw with one and saw while you're, hold the object. You must hold your saw with 2 hands. And everyone must wear their safety glasses. If you ever see Miss Smith without my other safety glasses on, you have permission to say, Miss Smith, you need to put your safety glasses on. So we really do work to instill a respect for the materials that are being used. And they do. They just learn it. If a parent has to help them a little bit at the beginning, I can guarantee you it doesn't last very long, because the children figure it out. And I mean, my buttons are always popping because they are able to accomplish things that one would guess they couldn't possibly have done online. So she'll be okay. Just, you have to trust and you have to be vigilant. If you see something I can't see or any of the teachers can't see, then you have permission to unmute and say, Miss Smith, we need some help here.
And as far as pointy knitting needles are concerned, when you start out, since we're going to start out with making our knitting needles, you're going to start with a dowel that is flat. It doesn't have a point at all. And the child will create the point with sandpaper. So they will see it emerge themselves. And through that work, there's a respect that is created for the point that they have created themselves. I've never had anyone hurt themselves or someone else with a knitting needle. And it's honestly not that pointy. Can you see that? And the point is determined by your own work. And there are times when it gets too pointy, and then you just have to sand it a little bit with really fine sandpaper, bring it back to a kind of a rounded tip, but that still has enough of a wedge to get underneath the stitch, and then it won't hurt you. But we're going to use sandpaper. With in-person children, I haven't done this, but I have seen they whittle with knives, but we use sandpaper to do it.
Thank you both.
Thank you
so
for the
much.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lacey, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my computer's video isn't wanting to work with me today. But my question was, since I'm going to be in Miss Smith's class as well, my daughter hits the ceiling of, I don't know how to do it, you do it, kind of thing. And I've been trying very hard to drag her feet, so to say, to make her realize she can do things. But she's very stubborn. So I didn't know how to go about kind of working with that before class and everything to kind of build her confidence that she can cut wavy shapes out of her paper and stuff, and she's not going to mess it up. So,
We have a lot of perfectionist children that come through in kindergarten. And I try hard to let them know this is hard. It took me a long time to learn how to do whatever it is that we're working on, which is true. I was a late bloomer. And so I can speak from a place of knowing how it feels as a little girl myself and not being able to accomplish some of the things that my peers could do or that my parents could do. And sometimes I make mistakes. We're human, right? And I own my mistakes. As soon as I make them, it's like, oh, I didn't quite do that the way I wanted to, but let's see, how can I fix that? We can all fix the things that don't work well. And over time, they realize they don't have to be perfect, which is my least favorite word in the English vocabulary, because none of us are. And when they can relax about that, they're often more willing to try and fail and try again. So you can try to prep her, but she'll get a lot of that from me once she's in class.
all right, thank you so much.
And Lacey, I just wanted to add, sometimes having it come from just someone outside of the home, it really makes a difference for the child. Sometimes a parent, you can say it till you're blue in the face, and then Miss Smith will say it and it's magical. So
Right, yeah, she's very excited for her new teacher. So
yes, that might be all it takes.
Right.
All right, are there any other questions? You all have been so patient.
All right, we want to let you know that registration officially opens tomorrow. If you accidentally registered today, that's okay. We got your application, so don't worry about that. But it opens tomorrow for current families. So if you're enrolled in Lotus and Ivy now, you can register and save your spot. We do have classes that certainly fill up quickly. So be sure to save your spot. And then if you're new to Lotus and Ivy, you can register on March 8th. So mark that date in your calendar.
Sarah, there are questions in the chat. I don't know if you saw those.
Let's see.
Okay, let me look. Thank you. Okay, if we enroll now, but something changes, can we adjust our schedule later? What is the rule about dropping a class? So that is in the application. You'll see that written there. But yes, we do have dates where, you know, you have up until this time where you can make changes. You'll see with a school that that they have a year-long financial commitment. And because Heather and I both are homeschoolers, former homeschool families, we made that more flexible. So our financial commitment for Lotus and Ivy is for the semester. So we will give you that drop, drop, change, add to your scheduled date. And then after that, the commitment is for the semester. And then, okay, same question. This is, haven't done enough reading and writing to technically be at grade level. So we encourage you to be in the class, enroll in the class with your students' peers. So you'll see on our website, our cutoff is May 1st. So even if you're not reading at grade level, that's a really important thing to put in your application so that we can pass that on to the teacher. And most of our teachers for the younger grades will set up a time to talk with you before class starts anyway. So you'll be able to share that. But even so, we would encourage you to register with the students' peers. And there's a lot of reasons for that the teacher will explain, but a lot of it has to do with just the curriculum is developmentally appropriate. So it's going to speak to the child's age. So we want them to be there for what they're ready for, in their hearts. Is it a total of 10 payments or 11 payments? So thank you for asking that. We're going to have a new option this year. So you can, of course, pay your tuition in full. We don't give a discount for that, however. So we try to make it as financially easy on families as possible. So this year we offered the 10 monthly installments. So you can continue that next year. You can pay your tuition, break it down into 10 monthly installments. Or next year you can also do 5 monthly installments if that's better for you. And on our application that opens tonight, you'll see the due dates for all of that, whichever you choose. Okay, I think that's all the questions. If I missed one, please let me know. Okay, let's close with our verse. And you're welcome to email us or set up a phone call or a Zoom call at any time.
Sarah, there's one more question, and it's Mandarin offered.
Oh, thank you. So we do want to offer Mandarin, but we are still searching for a teacher. It's really important to us that we offer a language that's outside of the Eurocentric languages. It's just a matter of finding a teacher who is a Waldorf teacher. But we're still searching, so hopefully you'll see that pop back up on our schedule.
Send us a teacher.
All right, merry have we met, and merry we have been. Merry we must part, and merry meet again. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.